Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Transportation Committee meeting. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome especially our Representative Eddie Lambert. Almost called you Senator.
We stepped him up.
Yes, indeed. Anyway, Mr. Valentine will lead us in prayer.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the beautiful day which you've given us, Lord. We thank you for our health, Lord, and we ask you to give us wisdom tonight, Lord, and while making decisions for the parish and your people. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I ask if anybody has any comment to make that they would let Ms. Liz know at what item that you'd wish to speak at by filling out a card. Thank you. Okay, the first item on the agenda is item number 4, I-10 at Louisiana 73 lighting as part of the road project. Mr. Bill Rue.
Yes, this is part of the intersection improvement project, LA 73 I-10 multi-laning. One of the things we're adding to that project by request is street lights. It's not a lighting district, so the parish has to, before they can incorporate it into the design plans, the parish have to commit to the paying the bill, the light bill, to Energy for those street lights at that intersection. And we are recommending this, and we're asking the recommendation from the committee to the council to do so.
Mr. Jackson.
How much are we talking about, and who's going to take care of maintenance?
Maintenance will be done by Energy, but the parish will have to pay whatever the maintenance cost is on that.
Energy does not do maintenance. I've got 4 lighting districts. Energy does not do any maintenance except for they will replace bulbs.
That's right.
Well, if you have an outage, or if you have like we had on the interstate here, where somebody ran over the transformer box and everything, you have to call private people and contractors in to fix that, and it costs a great deal of money. Mm-hmm. I think it's a very viable thing. I think we need lighting on this project and a number of other projects. My only objection is that we pay for it. The individual people for the rest of the parish have voted themselves to tax themselves to pay for these things in their areas. Mm-hmm. And we're going to get this out of the general fund. And if that's the case, then we need to take a look comprehensively of all the areas that we want to get out of the general fund to pay for, because here we are picking out one. I don't know what's the next one going to be, or whatever.
The main reason for this is the only intersection, I-10 intersection, that doesn't have the street lights on. The other 2 are in lighting districts,
yes.
Being in Sorrento and being at LA 30 and also 44. This is the only one that's not in a lighting district. We're hoping maybe at one time there will be a lighting district there, but if we don't incorporate it into the plans, it's extremely costly to come back and put these lights in. This is the ideal time, and that's why we're making this recommendation, and we think it's a prudent thing for the council to do because of the cost factor and the fact that we're going in there and redoing everything, lighting, street traffic lights, and intersection improvements. And again, that's the only reason. It's the only intersection that's not on the interstate that's not lighted. And we're concerned about the safety of that intersection because of that reason.
Well, I'm just curious, is the method of payment, and if so, if we're doing it because of interstates, then we need to take all the interstates in from the general fund. But we're having a problem right now in Sorrento where we have to repair the lights there, and it's an ongoing thing there, and we haven't been doing it because we're waiting for a cost estimate and everything, and these things get very expensive. And so I just want it the same everywhere. That's all. It doesn't matter to me. I think it's a very good project. I think we need lights. I'm a proponent of having lights throughout the parish. I'm trying to find some kind of way that we can get a settlement where we can extend our lighting districts to the people in my district that doesn't have them. And so I think it's very good. But right now, our method of paying throughout the parish is whoever's willing to put up and be taxed for it. That gets the light. So,
And I think you have a good point, Councilman, because really if you go back into the history of the lighting districts, it's mainly for lighting the roads up in rural roads and intersections in the rural part of the parish, actually for home, for safety in front of homes and stuff like this. The intersection was an afterthought. I mean, it's in the district, so naturally it took in a lot of the revenue to support those lights. But the lights at the intersection is really made for the general public at large and not so much for the people in that district. So you have a good point. Maybe it's something that council should look at supplementing some of the lighting districts' funding or expenses at the intersections, at the interstates, to reflect that difference. It's not totally for the people in that district, but for the general public traveling along the interstate that's getting off at that intersection. So, again, you got a good point, and maybe it's something that the council want to consider.
I would be very much in favor of finding out the cost estimates of this and maintenance compared, because you can find out what's been. We
can look at LA 30 and 44.
And you can find out what is a cost in the past few years. I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar with it right offhand, but then we could come back, and if we could possibly wait till the next meeting to make a decision based on all of this other information.
We do have time, at least a month, I would estimate, to be able to look into this and bring it back to the committee.
I mean, I'm very much in support of the lights. I think it should and needs to be done. It's just a question of how we're going to do that where it's fair for everybody involved. I just don't think that we ought to tax some people to pay for something that we want to do somewhere else, and we're going to take it out of the general fund. That's all.
Mr. Valentine, you had a question?
My question was, Bill, does Gonzales, maybe Kent can answer that, Gonzales is a lighting district too at Highway 30, or Gonzales takes care of that?
No, I think it's a lighting district. That's Adrian's.
Adrian extends that way? Because
I know 44 is a lighting district, and Sorrento's a lighting district.
I know they extended it to Lamar-Dixon. Is that the same lighting district that we extended to Lamar-Dixon in the last budget?
Again, I thought 30 was in that lighting district.
It stops at Highway 30.
It stops at Highway 30?
Yes.
But they did extend Lamar-Dixon in there, Joe.
Yeah, I know, in that one, but I'm just trying to find if that's the same one that's across Highway 30.
Yes, it is.
And the city limits, so it's a lighting district in the city limits of Gonzales?
No, the lighting district does not go to the city limits. The city.
That's the city limits, though.
Yeah, it does. The lighting district
Well,
does go
that's why I'm
inside.
asking.
You're right.
That's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah.
It goes to the southern part of Gonzales, the Render Street area.
The lighting district, I understand the lighting district in Sorrento, takes care of that one, but I'm not so sure the city of Gonzales don't take care of the lights, or something. We need to check on that, Bill.
I can investigate. I'll bring it back to report next meeting.
Ms. Shake's not, you have a good idea. If that's the point, and he's having trouble funding in the Sorrento situation, we may have to do something where we supplement those lighting districts from the general fund, because I'm in agreement, too. It does help the local people, but, a large percentage of people out of the parish pass by that intersection, and that's Sorrento, too, and the Gonzales one, too, so it serves a lot of the people in the parish, not only just the residents.
I'll bring back, again, if it's the pleasure of the committee, I'll bring back a more detailed report at the next meeting.
Councilman Helen back.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. As far as the lights, I'd like to see the lights over there as well. I think they're definitely needed, and it's certainly going to improve safety in that area for travelers getting off and getting on the interstate there. I remember in reviewing the numbers, those lights on the interstates, they are very expensive to maintain and operate, and very expensive to install. Remind you all that last year I passed a lighting district, introduced an ordinance and was passed, and we created lighting district number 8 up in my district, up in Prairieville. Unfortunately, when it was presented to the voters, we had a lot of misleading information put out to the public, mail-outs and letters to the editor, what have you, and it just barely failed. However, I'd love to see lights not only in my district but parish-wide. And George, Kent, Cheryl, I'd like to see maybe Finance Committee take a look at this and let's just see what we could do to provide lights parish-wide, and maybe roll back those millages and those, I think it's 3 lighting districts, isn't it, Kent? that's in
there's
play?
7.
7 lighting districts. Primarily, I think it affects 3 council members, I believe. But maybe roll back that millage. As you well aware of, our sales tax collections are up substantially, and this would certainly be a safety enhancement for our citizens, and also added security for them as well. So, is it possible maybe we could let finance look at this issue?
Councilman Chestnut.
And I'm fine with that, but I mean, people have to realize there is no free ride on this. If we're going to do parish-wide lights, that there's going to have to be some sort of millage throughout the parish in order to pay for it. It's not a free ride, and right now, a certain portion of the parish, people are willing to pay for that. If the rest of the parish is willing to go on board and do it parish-wide, I am fine with that. I am very, very well with that, but it had to be something that would be agreeable to the rest of the parish also, and I'm not sure whether that'll happen or not, but I would be very open to get more information and investigate it further and see where it goes. Mr. Hillenbeck, your idea would be fine with
Well, let's take a look at it. Let's put it on the finance agenda. Let's look at it as a committee, as a whole. Just take a good look at it and see. Look at our options.
Motion?
Yeah, it's a motion.
I'll second that, if you want to look at it.
Liz, put that on the finance agenda. Any objections? Any other questions? Mr. Rue, anything else?
No, that's all I have on that item.
Okay, item number 5 is the Louisiana 73 widening project, the Sewell tail line and trunk line. That too is Bill Rue. But before Bill, I'd like to let everybody know that Mr. Eddie Lambert Representative Eddie Lambert has done an awful lot in trying to get some of these projects going, and I wanted to tell him congratulations on getting us a red light at Swamp Road and Airline, and Seabro Road and 73. Both of them are very needed, and we really appreciate it. We've been working on this for a while, and it took you to push it. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Rue.
Okay, as part of the LA 73 widening project, and to let you know, the LA 73 widening project and the LA 42 widening project are in the works. I mean, the DOTD is actively working on those 2 projects. As part of the 73 project, as you know, we talked about before, because of the right-of-way issues and the cost of the right-of-way and the time involved right-of-way, it was determined that we would try to pipe the ditches in lieu of obtaining extra right-of-way. As part of that, though, we cannot tie the tail lines in from individual sewer plants to a closed pipe system, which means we have to put in a trunk line to collect these tail lines and send it to a location, usually where it's going right now. Is that we can't just tie them into the piping. Before DOTD can really get into the design more, we have to send a commitment to them that we are responsible for the cost of constructing and putting in this trunk line and tying in the tail line to this trunk line. And we did this already as in front of Dutchtown School. We were responsible for that, and we incorporated it into their design and into their construction bid project. What we did, we just pay the bill of the cost of doing that. Again, what the DOTD requires from us now is a resolution from the council saying that the parish will be responsible to pay for this, whatever the cost is, of tying these tail lines in. We don't have the actual cost because it gets complicated because of if you just a few minutes ago talking about the utilities, the first phase of the collection system for the wastewater treatment is in this area, or going down LA 70 through roughly in the same area. We tried to coordinate the design of this trunk line, whatever it might be, into the design of our comprehensive wastewater system so we don't waste anything. we can tie that line in directly into our wastewater system when it gets to that point, and continue with it. GEC, with who is doing the wastewater collection system design, is going to work with DOTD engineers to try to come up with something. So we don't know what the cost of that would be. But if we don't give a resolution saying that whatever it is that we're responsible for, then it shuts down that project, and we need to go forward with it. And we're asking for a recommendation to the council by the committee for that resolution.
Councilman Chestnut.
Well, I mean, it's not in my district, but I am very much for us planning ahead and trying to do things instead of reacting to it and digging up again afterwards. I think the front-end costs will be a lot less than they were down the line, and so I would be in full support of us doing this project ahead of time. I think in the long run we'll save people some money and probably accelerate the wastewater to that area. So I would be in support of it.
In addition to that, Councilman, if I may, we're also working at it being part of, if we incorporate it into our general design of our wastewater system, there's a good possibility we can get funding for some of it, because of the fact it is going to be part of our wastewater system. We're also looking at the Lake Pontchartrain Commission for the restoration of Lake Pontchartrain as a possible funding mechanism for some of this too. One of the ideas is to actually put small package plants along this, tie these lines into actually a small package plant to clean it up, which Lake Pontchartrain is interested in, because all this water goes to Lake Pontchartrain. And that's the part of the function of that commission, and funding from that commission to us is to clean up New River and tributaries of New River going to Amite River of this waste. And they may participate in funding some of this, and then at the end we possibly could turn these package plants into pump stations or lift stations and tie into our comprehensive plan. So again, we're working on a lot of different ways of doing this to get funding for it. So the possibility of the parish being totally responsible for it, 100%, is not out of the question, but it is very likely that we will be able to obtain some kind of funding.
Bill, we had talked several weeks ago. You had said that we had primarily did this. Did you assume because we did it on part of 73 that the corporate endeavor was still in place, or, I mean, you want us to pass a corporate endeavor agreement, right, with the state? Is that what it amounts to? Right
now, eventually it will it have to be that. For right now, though, DOTD can proceed with their plans only with a resolution from the council committing to the funding of that part of the project.
I move we send to the full council resolution committing to the funding of the trunk line on 73.
I'll
for the
second.
widening project.
Any objections? Then the motion passed.
Sure. Before we move on, I just got one comment. I'm not sure if Representative Lambert's going to stay for the whole meeting or not, but since you were thanking him on the red light at Swamp Road, Representative Lambert, I thank you for your work trying to help us over in Prairieville with that red light on 42 and McCroy Road. I know you weren't successful. Senator Amade is also involved trying to help us with that as well, and I appreciate your work on that. And I know at this point we haven't been able to persuade DOTD, but I know Eddie's been out there. 3 times you were out there at 6:30 in the morning when the DOTD rep was doing, the traffic engineer was doing the study there.
We're not finished yet.
Yeah.
We're going to be persistent.
Well, I appreciate your help. I know you hadn't given up on it, so thank you.
Just to
Councilman
encourage
Valentine.
Councilman Hillensbeck, Seabro Road got turned down twice for sure, that I know of. Years passed, it took Eddie on the 3rd try, so
Senator Amade's on board now. so.
And the point being is what the state says, they got to have experience at those intersections, and experiences accidents, unfortunately.
Yeah,
and they get enough accidents, and they'll put a red light.
Well, I wanted to say the same thing. The red light at Swamp Road and Airline got turned down a couple of times too, and especially after the Walmart came and put a red light upstream there, they really turned it down. So his persistence did come through, and the people are grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, just one other thing while we're talking about the widening, I mentioned 42 as being, in the works, and the tail lines on 73. Right now, DOTD is doing the Stage 0 feasibility evaluation of 42. That's the first stage of the project. They already hired a firm from, I think, Lafayette to do this, and we've been working with them at DPW. It's a possibility. One of the things they're looking at along 42 is doing the same thing as 73, and that is pipe most of the ditches in lieu of obtaining servitude. But that's in the preliminary stages right now. We don't know what the outcome of the feasibility study is, but it's a possibility that I'll be coming back to you with the same type of resolution on 42 at a later date. Okay. But that project is off and running also, and DOTD is working well with the parish.
Since you mentioned that bill, Cheryl, you mind if I ask Eddie, do you have any additional information on funding from the state on 42?
One of the things that I did was try to follow up because we had a previous highway bill, and what I was able to uncover is there's $3 million left, roughly, and I think I provided that to maybe the council or at least President Hughes that's left over from the last bill, which actually gives us $11 million. So hopefully we'll have enough funding to do something with 42 and 73. The problem is, from what they're telling me, you're looking at $5 million a mile when you acquire right-of-way to do a 5-lane. So, you know, even if you take that $3 million and you use the whole $8 million on 42, you're still going to be short some money. And of course, I'm hoping that we're going to be able to get some out of the state. But as you know, with Katrina and Rita, it's created some real serious budget problems.
Mr. Rue.
And going along with what Representative Lambert said, right now, because we're wanting to get LA 73 and 42 moving as quickly as possible, because of that extra funding, and I give credit to Representative Lambert for finding this money and bringing it to our attention and DOTD's attention. We're able to, and because of the fact that in appropriations for LA 42, at the last minute we put a little slash 73 into the appropriation bill, which enables us to use some of the money, if we wish, of that $8 million on 73, if it's our pleasure. The fact of the matter is, with about $2 million of that money switched over to 73, that's what's enabling us to move forward with 73 at this time. And because of the fact that the old money is roughly $3 million has to be spent on 42, we still come out with roughly $9 million or so on 42, but it enables us to use $2 million on 73 to get that project going at the same time.
Bill, didn't we talk about it once before that, you know, we don't have a lot of money, and it just said it was going to cost $5 million, you know, with the right-of-way and stuff that we had kind of talked about, like on 42, moving and doing some of the intersections and stuff, preparing our way for maybe another phase later on.
The scope, as we talked about at the last meeting with DOTD, was the fact that through the feasibility study, they're going to look at the right-of-way issues, the possibility of piping in lieu of right-of-way purchasing, and seeing how much they can do with a total amount of money, total distance. Now, if it comes back that, say, look, $8 million, the most you can get is about 1.5 miles, 2 miles, we're going to pipe the ditch, it's going to cost every bit of that. Well, then we're going to go back to the other idea of, okay, first phase of the widening project will be to do intersection improvements all the way along at 4. We can go even past 44 if we can, but at least up to 44. Intersection improvements at major intersection, not only major intersection where there's a high traffic volume trying to get on, Macquarie Road, some of the subdivisions even. And then as money permits, we go back and start filling in between the intersections until the money runs out. And then if we can get additional funding, we just keep going like that. That's just another idea. We won't know for certain until they go through the feasibility. We put everything on the table and look and see what we can do.
Would that be intersection improvements for 3-lane, 4-lane, or 5?
Well, it's going to be intersection improvement that would fit into the total design of the widening project. So, for instance, if the total project is a 3-lane project, well, then the intersections would be complementary to that total design. So it all fit together at that point. Again, now they may want to lessen everything and say, okay, we're not only going to go up to maybe Broussard Church and do 4-lane, you know, up to that point. we got to put everything on the table and see how far we can go.
Well, and then
With
you
the
know, the
money.
existing intersection there at Jefferson and 42, that's 4-lane as far as 42. Of course, it's 2-lane at 73.
Well, you see, again, most of these intersections, sometimes there's only a T intersection. The one at 42, you actually have a lane coming off of 73 onto right there. That's a T. I mean, that's a total cross intersection. But for most cases, it's going to be for a 3-lane, a center lane turn, which would be, like I say, would be complement a 3-lane highway like on LA 30. Once you get your total construction built. So again, that's all just things on the table. We're looking at every possibility to get as much done with $8 million, $9 million.
To help move the traffic.
Move the traffic first, and then, with as much money as we can get.
Thank you, Mr. Rue. Mr. Lambert, is that all? Did you have anything else you want to say?
That's pretty much it, Ms. Fontenot. Thank y'all for
Thank you, Brad.
letting me be here.
We appreciate you coming, and you're welcome every second Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay, item number 6, road acceptance ordinance, possible changes. Councilman Kent Shakespeare.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This is something I just wanted to bring up for food for thought. We're in a situation right now where I think it was 1991 is a requirement for bringing in older roads into the parish that met certain criteria. And that was passed by the council, I think, in 99 or something like that. And since that time, we've been taking in roads as they needed, as they met the criteria. Well, pretty quickly, we're running out of new roads to take in that falls under that criteria. Yet we're getting to the point now where we're slowly starting to see some roads that are getting ready to be recommended to take in or wanting to be taken into the parish, and the parish is not going to want to recommend taking any of these roads in because they're not meeting the current standards. And let's face it, when it gets to the point where they have 10, 12, 15 houses on a road, eventually they're going to be taken into the parish system. And historically, in the past, they have been. I would just like to see some possible plans to go out and see how we can, in an organized manner, over a period of time, take a road into the parish that currently does not meet standards, but over time we can take it in certain phases and gradually work it into the parish system. And I don't know whether it would be from, number one, you definitely have to have right-of-way. You may want to do something where you take it in as is for, if the life of a road right now is 10 years, you take it in as is, where the parish does not do any further maintenance for that period of time, and then you come in and you would overlay it at that point where we would overlay that road if we had done it anyway. At least we would be putting some mechanism in that people could get their roads in over time. I do not know what the best way to do it. I've had a few ideas about how to do it. I don't have the background information as to the number of possible roads that's going to come, but as talking with people throughout the parish and a number of these, especially family petitions that go into areas, we're starting to see a large number of houses now on them. Eventually it's going to come to the point where they reach enough houses where there's going to be a lot of pressure on the councilman to take them in immediately, and then we're going to be stuck with them immediately into the parish system and have to spend some money on them. So I would just like to see some kind of proposals or plan that over time that would not cost the parish, that would be a fair way to take them in. It might be just taking them in as gravel roads or something over a period of time, that we do improvements on them. Political realities in the past is that after a certain point in time, they're taking in. And so I'd just like, if possible, if DPW can look into it and give us some recommendations, and it may be something that is just totally unfeasible to do, but it should be something that we should look into.
Mr. Rue?
To comment on, I've been going through this for about 6 years now, and it is a problem. Part of the problem is, and reason is actually 1993. Anything prior to 1993, there was an established road with at least 2 houses on it, residences was able to be grandfathered in. After that, one of the deals is the fact, like you mentioned, right-of-way. And we have to have right-of-way, number one. If not willing to give up proper right-of-way, no. The second problem is the establishment of a road. It has to be an established road. It can't be just a dirt trail, which we ran into before. We took into the parish in prior administration. They decided the council can overrule anybody and take it in. It has to be an established road, a used road by the people back there. But the main problem is developers, because of the loophole in the family partition ordinance. You know, you can come in there, put it on your kid's name, take it out of your kid's name. After it's come to a family partition, take it out of your kid's name, sell all the property like a subdivision along a gravel road. A couple of years later, get the gravel road in, pave the road, and now you got, a subdivision there, and paid for primarily by the taxpayers. And the profit goes to actually the developer who went under the guise of a family partition. That is really our main problem right there. The selling of property along that road, or developing the road and turning it over to the parish for the parish to develop. How we get out of that is the question. If you can solve that problem, the other problem is fairly certain to not run into a problem with DPW, which is the right-of-way problem and number of houses down an established road. But how you keep these developers from keep doing these family partitions, you have to tighten up the family partition ordinance. I think that's the first thing that has to be done. And then you can proceed to the rest of it.
But it may be a system where the people on these roads may have to participate in some of the improvements and everything. And that would have to be something that DPW could live with.
Right, and we've done that in the past. One is along Diversion Canal. They bonded, the people got together and bonded that road to be improved. And they're paying the cost of the bond, of the cost of the road. And then after the bond's paid off, the parish takes it over. And the parish comes out all right on it, and the people does too. They all participate in the reconstruction of the road. And then the parish is able to take it over.
I'd just like to see whatever plan we do, that we would have it in place, that we would do it throughout the parish.
Councilman Valentine?
Bill, what you mentioned about the Diversion Canal, is that feasible on 5 or 6 houses on a road?
Well, it depends on the length of the road and the construction that's necessary, the type of road it is, how much, how stable the road is already.
Yeah.
It might be where very little base stabilization is needed, and you come through there, do your soil cement and compact and overlay.
And I think I kind of understand what Councilman Schexnayder is talking about, but I mean, we want to come up with some guidelines, but they really have to be substantial to the landowners, because we do have roads already taken in that are substandard. I mean, recent events, I was looking at a road list, and we took a road in, that was 14 feet wide and gravel, and only went halfway of the property. It's a parish road.
We've taken in dirt trails.
And I don't want to get in that situation. I've had a couple of situations already where in the past we've taken in a right-of-way, or we've taken a headland in, and now people are going to build houses on it, and they expect the parish to build a road to it. And it's really not a fair scenario. I think in the 2 years that we've been council, we haven't taken any gravel roads in that I know of, and I don't plan to take any in. I think they should be up to the standards, just like we require the developers when they make subdivisions. I mean, that's why we got the rules for developers now. These roads got to be at the standard. So I'm in favor of looking at it, Councilman Schexnayder, but I'm not sure that we want to go to the point where the advantage goes to, and like Bill says, to family partitions or or even to people that decide to, sell some lots on the road, and then we end up having to pay for it. I think I know where you're going with that.
Make no
but-
mistake, I want to do it to protect the parish.
Yeah, I understand.
And I don't want a situation where politically you're sitting up here with 30 people out there, want you to vote for them a road or not, that we have a system in place where they know there's a certain criteria that under fair conditions, they can go through a process of getting their road in. It may be over time. It may be over 10 years. I don't know what it is, but it should be something that can be in place where it's not going to totally break them, because a lot of this has been turned over now for a number of times, and people have bought in. And eventually, let's face it, some of these roads are going to have to be brought in at some point in time.
And
And
one-
so how do we go about doing it?
One thing that, because we've been thinking about it for years too, the one thing you could do, and was suggested at one time, is actually keep moving the date. In other words, right now, we put in 1993. Prior to 1993, it met other other conditions, it was brought in. You possibly could think about moving that date now to maybe 1997. Okay, anything prior to 1997, which takes in the time limit from 93 to 97. Well, now we'll start looking at those roads. If they meet the qualifications, they've been there since before 97, then, and again, keep working like that. A few years from now, change it to 2000. And you slowly get away from the gravel road, and then at the same time, tighten up the family partition ordinance for us. What is a family partition able to do with the gravel road? Who you can sell it to? Once you sell it to the public, if in other words you get into a family partition issue, and it's a family partition, it remained a family partition. Family lived on a property for so many years, well, then your property could take that road in, because then it wasn't done as a scam just to sell the lots and get the road taken over by the developer. So there are some things that might be done.
Councilman Harris.
Thank you. I think what I'd like to see is maybe see some research, how other parishes are handling this bill, especially parishes in the surrounding area. Just let's see if they allow family partitions in the other parishes, and if so, what are their rules in place, and because it does seem to lend itself to maybe some abuse, and not in all cases, but in some cases, and in the end, the taxpayers winding up footing the bill. So.
Councilman Shakespeare, are y'all working on anything like that? Michael Sanjay and Charles Landry and them are working on different development codes and stuff. That's not something that they could try to work out and bring us some guidelines into that?
The Planning Commission right now is working on trying to improve the guidelines for one of the things is family petition, among other things, is subdivision development, and they're going to give us a report for strategic planning as soon as possible. But they're going through their process, and they have to have public hearings and everything. So that's one of their tasks that they're looking into, and that's the proper procedure to go. It goes to Planning Commission first with recommendations there. So from there, for Mr. Rue's desire to have those family petition regulations tighten up, that is in the process already. Hopefully in a few months we can get something definitive from them that can help us. But and I particularly like the idea of having a rotating yearly thing. Take our criteria we have now, put it at a certain date, and then every year it goes up one more year, so that people know ahead of time that for the first, I don't care whether it's 10, 15 years, they're not going to have the parish come back through there and take in their road and improve it. If they're going to have a road that doesn't meet parish standards, they're going to have to live with it for a while. But the reality of the situation, eventually when there's so many people on the road and it's been there for a certain amount of time, people lose track of the fact that it wasn't built by, with parish regulation. They just want it in. And eventually it does, in the past history, it has been coming in. So I think if we just have a method that would work with fair to everybody, we could go forward with that. And I like the criteria that you have now.
Right. The other issue that has been brought up is the fact that we have a lot of problems with drainage. The fact of the matter is, most of these roads they build on, they have to tie the tail lines into a ditch. Most of the time, that's the road ditch. Now, to get by, because it's not a parish road or parish ditch, the way we've always or had to do it was actually put the road ditches into the drainage system, say with a drainage servitude. Once the road ditch had a drainage servitude on it, then it becomes a parish ditch, and the drainage department, through regular drainage, had the right or had the ability to go in and clean that ditch, and at the same time, the people living along it could tie their tail line into that ditch. And this has been a common practice for years, and that's a way of getting around the issue of the a parish ditch where they could tie the tail lines in. And this would again, it muddles this whole deal of they know it's a parish ditch. Then after a while, they complain to us, why can't you keep the ditch up? Why you can't keep the road up? And they don't understand. So it is a problem. They're just another issue that has to do with the same problem. So I think we do need to solve it some way or have some kind of policy on it.
Just give us something.
Thank you, Mr. Rue. Okay, number 7, speed limit reduction, Latino Drive, 35 mile to 25 mile an hour, Roy Latino. Councilman Kent Chicksniner.
Yes, we have a road in Donaldsonville outside the city limits, Latino Drive, that has been, at one time was a dead-end road, and now it's a through road. And there's been a number of complaints about people going faster than the posted speed limit, and it's an attempt to try to slow people down to get them safely through that area. And so there's been a request by Mr. Latino that I wanted to forward through to reduce the speed limit from 35 to 25 miles per hour, and I wanted to set our process in motion. I think, Bill, we have to put some machines there to check the speed limits and everything now, and the count.
Yes, we would like to do two things. One is, of course, take the count and take the 85th percentile and look at it from that standpoint. But in most cases along something like this, that doesn't really apply, because almost like a subdivision road, our standard is 35 on a subdivision road. To reduce that, it really goes down to the wishes of the residents along that road. If we can get a petition from the people, kind of like a four-way stop sign, if we can get a petition of people living in that area, all agree that that's what they would like, or the majority, then we look at reducing it. Again, in this case here, 85 percentile doesn't really apply because it's really a local street.
Probably 20 hours.
So a petition on this kind of issue, a petition from the people living along it is probably all we need.
Are you looking for a petition from the people, residences there?
Right.
How many?
Okay.
What percent?
Well, we'd like 100%. If everybody signs, it's a slam dunk. Now, if most or all but one sign, we'll bring that back to the committee to resolve. The problem is, just like in four-way stop sign and everything else, you get several people that want it, but then come to find out after you do it, you get 50 people that don't want it.
Okay.
And so to resolve that issue,
Well, it's
a
the same
petition-
thing we've done on all the others.
That's right. Get a
Okay.
petition, and if it shows that most don't want it, DP will not object to lowering the speed limit.
Miss Liz, I've just been informed that he signed up to talk, Mr. Latino. Thank you.
I'm Roy Latino. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I know you might need a petition, like you say, but in interest of public safety, we got 4 school buses run up down there every morning and every afternoon. Just 2 weeks ago, we had a school bus accident on Latino Road. People are driving 55, and at night, 8, 9 o'clock at night, even faster. It's just a straight shot. Like Mr. Shacksnyder said, it was a dead-end street at one time. We didn't have a problem. But now, since you open it up, everybody's using it as a shortcut. It's like if you have a subdivision and the road's closed, and all of a sudden you open that road, the subdivision, and people find out it's a shortcut, they're going to start cutting through through the subdivision. And that's what they're doing us. And it's just entirely too fast. So in the interest of public safety, before somebody get hurt, we need to slow it down.
And
They got roads, Green Gable is 25, Evangeline Drive is 25, Sugar Lane is 15, miles per hour. Highway 308, that's a highway, it's 35. Why Latino Drive got to be 35, just a street? So I think something needs to be done. If y'all could help us out, we appreciate it.
And only comment to that is, again, Mr. Latino, if we get a petition, then we don't have any problem at all.
Yeah.
If most of the people say, yeah, that is a problem, and we want this, then we're covered, and we can go ahead forward with it. And we won't have the problem of somebody else coming back and saying, that's ridiculous. I got a ticket for going 35 miles an hour, and my car idles at 20. So we got into that kind of issue before, but if everybody signs a petition, or most of them sign a petition, it solves that
I think I can
issue,
get that done.
and that would help us.
You
The
want
other-
me to do it?
Well, we
just-
need the people along that road, somebody, yourself or somebody else, to really pass the petition out and give it to DPW,
I'll do it.
and then we can go to the next stage on that. Bring it back to the committee, you vote on it, it goes to the council votes on it, and then it's legal.
Where's the DPW at?
On Church Point Road, or you can contact,
Oh, yeah,
I can
I
give you a
know.
call, you
I know
can give me a
where it's at.
call, and you can mail it to us or whatever. But the other issue is the fact if it's 35 or 25 or 15, enforcement is the key. And even at 35, I mean, if it's not being enforced at 35, it won't be enforced at 25. So again, on this enforcement of any traffic regulation, it's a key. Just saying you're going to change a sign doesn't really do a whole lot.
No, that's the enforcement. I agree with that.
That's right. So,
I was just going to tell Mr. Latino, that's the easiest way to do it. We do a road count and what have you. You may come up with the road count, may not show that it needs it, but if you get the people on the road to sign a petition, I'm sure they will. That's the easiest way to do it. And we can take care of that action at the next council meeting or bring back to this next transportation meeting.
You mentioned road count. I wanted to touch on that too. When Latino Road was just a dead end, it was
Right.
only 7 houses on it. Now we got 25.
Right.
Mr. Latino, I just want to tell you that I've been in office. This is my 3rd year, and the most complaints that I get all around, it's not drainage or anything else, it's speeding in subdivisions. I mean, I've come and had the same request, people asking for stop signs and subdivisions and stuff, and even the stop signs don't help. And the sheriff has all he can do just to maintain the main roads, so it's...
Yeah, we call them all the time.
It's-
Sometimes they come, sometimes they don't come.
It's just a problem that we have in this day and age. Everybody seems to be in a hurry to get to where they're going, and they don't realize that they're, hurting the safety of the residents.
Right. Sooner or later, it's going to happen. Like you said, you got to have a bad accident before you do something.
Exactly. Thank you for coming. Number 8, cost sharing of monumentation project.
if you remember back, some of the council members that was at the Drainage Board meeting, the Drainage Board, we went before the Drainage Board for us, the monumentation project at SJB with the benchmarks and monuments throughout the parish. $500,000 cost, $250,000 cost share, half of that Corps of Engineers. The motion was passed by the Drainage Board to go forward with this contingent on several things, one of which is verification from the Corps of Engineers that they will participate up to $250,000. And the second thing is to get, of the other part that the parish is responsible for, $250,000. The vote of the board was to obtain 25% of that amount from the parish, and 75% will be funded from the Drainage Board. And again, that was a recommendation or the motion from the Drainage Board. We come to you today for action by the full council to agree to pay for the 25% of our share, which is $250,000, 25% of that.
Councilman Hillingsberg.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion, we sign this to the Finance Committee. I think that's where we need to take it up. I'm not certain this is a transportation issue. I think I'd feel better if the whole council is there and our Finance Committee and administration as well. And so I'll make that motion, we sign this to Finance Committee next meeting.
Second.
Any objections?
No objections.
And that's going to come out of Road and Bridge Fund. That's why
Well,
the
and that's what the
Drainage Board
intention
directed.
was. It
Right.
was coming out of Road and Bridge
But
Fund.
Ms. Hillsback, right, that needs to go to finance.
And-
so we can
and
do
we
that.
have no
But
problem.
I don't think anybody on this count, we have an objection for it to go to finance.
Councilman Chase?
Point of discussion. Mr. Rue, we had a meeting Monday night, last night in St. James, and a councilman from St. Charles is going through the monumentation process also, and I was just curious, they have involved LSU, and they came down and they put 2 GPS stations in St. Charles Parish, and they do everything now off of GPS on their monumentations. Is this the same
The
program?
same thing. Actually, we're going to have 3 core stations.
Okay.
And in addition to that, just to give you a little side note, we're able to use those core stations for a lot of other things for our use. Our intention, I can tell you now, is that if this goes through, that we're going to implement tracking devices on all our vehicles, equipment, and tractors and things like this. So we can put that onto the GIS, utilizing this core station to track our vehicles and also gain information about their productivity. And that's another intention of why we're kind of wanting to get this done. And we're able to get some financing through the Corps of Engineers to do it too. But we're going to use it for more than just monumentation. We're going to use it for other things for us, our GIS system.
Yeah, I mean, they were just talking about it only cost them $30,000. I think they had a pilot program there.
Right, and we looked at something like that several years ago when it first came up. And LSU came down with SJB looking at it. But
Okay.
it's not possible now that we know of.
Thank you. I'm very much in favor of it.
Okay, number 9, old business.
Mr. Fonda.
Mr. Valentine?
Bill, we had the discussion, I think, in a transportation meeting, if I'm not mistaken, about the bridges on Roddy Road. We wanted to expedite with the widening project, the 2 wooden bridges. If we
The task orders went to GSA
Okay.
to do that. They have that project. That's the widening of Roddy Road, and task order has been issued, as far as I know.
Okay. If they haven't, we need, because I know we discussed that.
No, it's been because again, we talked. I got to find out exactly where GSA is on this project. But it was talked about and issued because we even talked about making sure that those 2 bridges is built into the design of the whole widening of the road, because
Right.
we definitely want to go back and tie into those 2 bridges with that widening project. We want everything to be on the same level.
I think the discussion
Same
was we
height.
needed to replace them. We go ahead and do that even before the
No,
road widening
that's right.
project. We'd like to move that as quick as we could, if possible, to get that done during the summer
No,
when
that-
school's out.
That's
You know,
what we're doing right now.
Because where those bridges are situated, we're probably going to take both of them out at the same time, and we just need to move forward on that.
No, that's moving forward for them.
The other thing, Chairman Fontenot, is where are we, Bill, on the no trucks on Seabro Road and Swamp Road?
We went back and looked at Boudreaux Road, because that's where the
Right. That's
the
what
ordinance was, or we thought. We searched everywhere. We
can't
cannot
find
find
ordinance?
anything.
Okay.
So now we're going back to stage 1, actually writing the ordinance.
Okay.
And our attorney's involved with that right now. It
And
took us
it's re-
several weeks, and we just couldn't.
Yeah.
I don't know
It's
where
real
it came from.
important, because I know, and I know Representative Lambert, I'm going to make him a senator too. Representative Lambert had called me on the smell that was on the interstate from the dump that is off of Bluff. And one of the problems we're having on Seabro Road is we're having 18-wheelers coming off the interstate and traveling that small road. It's narrow, and it's deteriorating the road, and it's creating some havoc. And that's one of the main reasons that we've been trying to get that as a no truck, so that we can enforce that, because it is tearing up the road. And it's creating a safety hazard.
And it is in the hands of the legal right now. Again, they have to write
Okay.
an ordinance, something that we can use. And it has to be pretty, specific and
Right.
with detail as far as what kind of criteria you use to say when it gets to this point you can institute an ordinance saying no more trucks,
Right.
heavy trucks, through
Okay.
trucks. going down the road.
because
So-
we have the same problem we were trying to get to Panama Road.
On Panama Road,
and-
same thing.
And we want to have necessary vehicles, school buses and concrete trucks that go in and for construction on the road, but we don't want to just have through traffic going over there that taking shortcuts on these
Right.
inadequate roads because it's tearing up our roads. And,
Right. And again, we
we
could
have to do something.
We could we looked at different ways of the terminology. It could be something in the order of commercial traffic or commercial traffic over a certain weight limit, which through traffic, which means it's just you're going through it's commercial, so school bus and everything don't apply, and local traffic deliveries doesn't apply. So again, we're trying to feel our way through it. We're looking at some other parishes to see what they have, and
Please.
but we're
please
working
get
on
us-
that.
All right, thank you, Bill.
Before I recognize you, Mr. Ellisbeth, while we're on the subject of Swamp Road, I have that in the old business too. I've got some people on Swamp Road that came out to the planning and zoning meeting last week because of the Shaw project and a gate that was going to be opened there. And they told me that they were getting petitions, that they had 2 or 3 pages of petitions dealing with different problems that they're having on Swamp Road. One of them is the truck problem. School buses can't pass with a normal car, so they definitely can't pass with a big vehicle. And the backside of Swamp Road has businesses that would use 18-wheeler type vehicles, but rather than go off on Perkins Road, they cut through from Airline, which is quite a distance on a narrow, curvy road. But one of the other things that they talked about was that and I've sent some emails already to DPW about different signs that they wanted children at play signs and some different curved signs. They're upset because they said nothing's gotten done about that. I just want to bring that to your attention. The lady that called me, there was another lady that called me today. I tried to call her back and didn't reach her because her emails kept coming back. I tried to send her an email trying to get exactly what it was she wanted me to address tonight. And I placed a phone call to her today and spoke with her husband, but I did not get to speak to her. She did not call me back. So I'm assuming that I'll have to get more information. I just want to make you aware that there are some people that are very upset with some problems on Swamp Road.
Well, if I could answer
Sure.
part of that, it's part of the problem is going to be solved through the next road project because we have an improvement of some of the curves on Swamp Road, and that's part of the road project. At which time, you're going to have an improvement of the curves to begin with, and new signage going to go up at that time. As far as the end of Swamp Road at Perkins, most of the time that's handled through the planning and zoning of a planning commission for as a new development, commercial development, where they make certain restrictions on it. I don't even know if this is going through planning, if they're adding on to it, they're building something there. I really don't know too much about what's going there.
That was pretty much solved. I think the Planning and Zoning Commission determined that it was not feasible for Shaw to have a gate on Swamp Road to let people out, that they would just maintain it as an emergency gate, that they would exit. So that particular part of the problem was solved. But just, she came for that reason and then told me about this other stuff that she was getting petitions about. And that was the first I'd heard of it, and I tried to get back in touch with her, but it seems to be dealing with the trucks and the signs. I did send them word at one time that we were working on those type of things. I was going to ask you about where the project was, because I know that you're going to be doing some striping, right?
Striping and some improvements to the road itself.
Right, to certain
in the curves.
certain spots that were more
Right.
narrow than other spots. So I knew that project was coming on. But I just wanted to make you aware that there were some citizens, and as soon as I can get that information to you, I will. On another matter, there was, I'll bring this up on the new business. I'll let Mr. Hillens back right now. He needs to add something.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. The Hopeville Estates project, the 9 streets that's being overlaid, I was in there Friday. Can you give us an update on project, where we are on that particular project, old trailer land?
I know it's in the it's progressing, But to tell you right now exactly where they're at on it, I couldn't. I could send you an email first thing in the morning,
Okay.
or send the committee an email telling the report on that, but I really couldn't tell you exactly where we're at in that.
I talked to Dennis about including that little bit of extension on the end of Brown Road that's really in bad shape. It's all broken and busted up. And also Brown 3 Road, that little side road. And Dennis told me that we weren't going to be able to include it in this particular project as a change order, but that he had spoken with you about it, about putting it in the next road project as an additional.
It has been added to this to the next project.
It has been, okay.
Yes, sir.
good.
And go back, and Mr. Israel with URS has just handed me an update on some of the projects, and we'll hand it out to everybody. But what a specific issue of Hope Village Estates, contractor Barbara Brush has completed all asphalt work on the project, currently working on striping and dressing shoulder areas, anticipates the project be complete and ready for inspection in about 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks. Okay.
So, thank you.
All right. And the last thing,
Yeah, in fact, we're going to hand out the,
Okay.
because you might see something on it, you may want to ask under new or old
I
business.
saw it Friday, and it was looking, what they had done so far was looking pretty good.
And I guess everybody met, just for Mr. Ken Israel, been many years, chief design engineer for DOTD, is with URS now. He can be probably one of our, if not our main contact, especially on road projects, but other projects with URS. And he's really going to be an asset to us, coming from DOTD many years. So I want to welcome Mr. Israel.
And of course, the last thing, Liz, if you would, we need to get Ascension 929 striped. There's a no passing zone in there along that along the fire station, where we got signs on each end, but it's not striped properly. We need to get that striped. If you turn it in, I appreciate it.
We can add that as a work order.
Councilman Jackson.
A couple things, Mr. Rue. We were looking for a request, especially on Loosemore Road, to get it striped, the edges of it striped, so people can see the edges, the ditches right next to the road, and a number of complaints have been filed by ladies that, I'm not to be sexist, but it just happened to be a number of ladies that have talked to me and said, one of them was my wife, that said that they would like to see some stripes there so they can find the edge, and we've had a couple of people already has gone into the ditches there, and if there was some kind of way we could see about putting that into the striping program where the edge of the road is striped so that they can keep out of the ditch in the darkened areas. And then the other thing, and maybe Mr. Lambert can help us, is that we've been waiting for a number of years to get Highway 44 redone, and of course it was supposed to be done in May, and the hurricane has pushed that back, which is understandable. But maybe until then, with the situation as it is, if we could just get some stripes along the edge of Highway 44 to get by, and until we can get the road redone. You're in again another situation where you have deep ditches on each side, and you have a road that at night is pretty tough to negotiate, and it holds water, and it's in a situation. I just think that would be a safety factor for a very little amount of money. It'll probably be another 6 months before they begin project.
And if you go with just some temporary striping, road construction, temporary striping, that's a possibility. We'll put the request in. I'm not too sure they'll act on it based on the fact it's ready. It should be going to bid later this year for the whole road reconstruction. But again, we can put the request in.
Yeah, and again, I've been hearing that since 2000. So.
And the thing on Loosemore Road is we're really reluctant to put striping, especially edge striping on roads of under a certain distance width. Part of the reason is if you pay attention to, we've seen the problem where you pay attention to the road striping, say in bad weather, you actually sometimes tend to vary more to the center, And if you get two cars offsetting coming in, you're paying more attention sometimes to the striping on the right side and not to the center line. And there has been circumstances where it caused accidents because of that. The road is just too narrow.
Can we get a
And
good
there's
center
a
stripe?
liability issue when you go into some smaller roads and put striping on it.
Can we get a good center stripe on there?
That'd be better than putting a side stripe.
That would be
to
fine,
honest.
just so they, it's just been
Yeah.
tough going through there, and I agree with the people there.
There is a liability issue. We don't watch ourselves.
I understand.
Is that all the old business?
One more thing, Ms. Fonda. I'm glad Tom handed this out here. I see 205 Road Project with Burt Kleinpede and URS. I just want to encourage Tom at URS and Mr. Picard that we definitely need to get this project moving for the parish. One thing that I find out is, we don't want to be doing 205 project in 207. Let's see if we can't get it done 205.
Thank you, Mr. Shea.
One thing on that issue, if I can comment, we, DPW, have gotten together with URS and put out a timeline on all our projects. In other words, we sitting down and we saying for instance, the right-of-way will be completed by this date. Bids will be completed by that. Design will be completed by this month or whatever. And we're doing it for all our projects, the one that's under construction now and all future projects. And we already gave the notice out to our consultants that if they have a problem with this, maybe we need to look for another consultant. So we're putting our own timeline on it, and we expect the consultant to meet that timeline instead of just leaving it up in the air and say, when you think you can be finished with it. Well, again, URS, I sent them a notice last week, and they agree with us, and we already have that on board and sent the notice to consultants. And we expect them to meet our timeline.
Okay.
Okay?
Good.
That's great. Any new business? Councilman Valentine?
Yeah, I did have a request from a resident who was looking at putting a stoplight in place on
Stop the
Seablo,
line.
on Seabro Road in Bluff. Well, I'll talk to Mr. Rue after and discuss it with him. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. I have one thing that, I had a lady call me today, and she started explaining her problem. It was kind of intense. But she was asking about what could be done to connect. There's a subdivision that she lives in, and there's a subdivision that backs up to her, that there is a connector where they could connect the roads through. She lives in a subdivision there's only one way out. And during the hurricane, the road was blocked, either with tree or something happened, and the road was blocked and they had no way out. She was wanting to try to find out what could be done to maybe get the two subdivisions connected, and I didn't know what to tell her at that point because I had not had that problem before. She was supposed to email me a detailed account of what she was expecting. She said her husband has heart problem and getting out could be crucial, if something similar to that happened again. So I'm just bringing it up to you now. Maybe you can help me explain to me about what our policy is about these type of connector roads. But as soon as she gets me the detailed information, I will get it to you.
Yeah, send that to me just as a point of clarity on some of this. In most cases, subdivision roads that's going up from one subdivision to the other, if they connect or if they go to the property line, they are required to connect to each other. But what happens a lot of times is subdivisions actually keep 10 feet or so as green space between the end of their road and the property line, which becomes the property of the subdivision itself. And that's why the other subdivision coming in cannot connect to it, because they keep it as a green space. Now, we can look at the whole issue. It may be something, if it's a straight through and there's no problems, it may be something that we can just work out with the subdivisions to connect them, or in extreme cases, expropriation and connect the two highways, But we'll look at it. Send me the details.
Right. Well, I had asked her, invited her tonight to the meeting. She said she'd try to come I did not see that she made it here, so I thought I'd bring it up just, as a point of reference, get it in the minutes, and as soon as she can get me a more detailed information, I will get with you, and maybe you can investigate to see if it is something that would be possible, for that type of thing to take place, especially since it might be a safety issue. Mr. Shakespeare had something else.
Yes, Mr. Reardon, I discussed this before, but we're beginning turning lane projects ongoing and try to improve turning lanes and intersection improvements. I would just like to, especially now we have URS on board, to do some research in traveling throughout the world and everything. I've been to England a number of times. I come upon these areas that has these roundabouts, and I just see it's so easy to travel and so convenient. For instance, going now from Highway 30 on 431 to French Settlement or to Port Vincent, now it takes forever. You have to stop at every light. If you have to turn left, you have to stop and wait a while. And when I go travel throughout a similar road in some other country, you do not stop at all. You never stop. And the travel time is less than half. And I just think we ought to really look into the possibility, since we're doing some new roads and everything, of maybe taking a pilot program, whether it be 42, whether it be Roddy Road, or one of these roads and intersections, that we pilot these things and see how they work. And if we can do that without putting up a light and people don't have to stop, it's going to be a learning phase. But it's just, with gas prices the way they are, with us being in a non-attainment zone where we may get some federal penalties for being where we are, we need to try to do some things to try to keep the traffic moving. And this is one thing that, if you travel anywhere else, it's just a no-brainer. It's just so convenient, and there has to be some kind of way Americans can figure out how to do this, and do it effectively. And I just like to take a look at it again and see what's the possibility. In some places, it may not be possible everywhere, and try to sort a pilot phase into that where we can do that and move this traffic.
Well, I can say, and I think Kent can probably comment on it better than I on some of this, but I think the information I got from DOT, they chomping at the bit to find some places to put some roundabouts in, to try it. Engineering, in fact, we looked at LA 73 and 621. We looked at a preliminary design of a roundabout right there, but it just didn't seem to fit. We're also looking at, and it was brought up on Highway 42, some of those intersections being roundabouts. But this is a major change in culture for people around here, and it's hard for us just to make that decision. But I can tell you that the engineering firms and DOT, I think, is looking for areas to start putting some of these in and give it a demo and give it a try.
I know for a fact it works. It's very convenient, very easy to learn, it's very safe, and it's just a pleasure to drive around, especially the countryside, whenever you have that in place and not stop every quarter of a mile.
Ken, you know any other places right around Louisiana that have some roundabouts in southern Louisiana?
Lafayette Parish has built at least one. I think they were designing at least a second one. So they have some experience with it. Roundabouts are, well, let's put it this way, the new roundabouts are a good design. They have their applications. The department is willing and wants to try to build some. We've had, years ago we had what we called circles. These are not circles. They're roundabouts. They're for slower moving traffic.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Now, I think Kent made a critical point here, is that, you think that this can help, like on Highway 42 when they're going 55 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour. And that is not always the case. More in the urbanized area, where you're approaching, where you're not going that fast anyway, and you use this roundabouts. So there's a lot of things to be considered, I think, before you can go forward with this. And that's why there's a lot of reluctance, for a lot of areas to try something new.
I'd just like to see it happen. I mean, it's just a shame that we're not doing that.
As I said, the department was willing to try, has looked for several applications of it, and there have been, as I said, several built in Louisiana. One I know of in the Lafayette area.
Thank you.
One on Highway 22.
Okay, any other business at all?
Move to adjourn. Second.
That's fine.